Hollywood didn't just fail Amanda Bynes, it fed her to the wolves. Today, we're exposing the full truth behind her tragic downfall, from Nickelodeon royalty to psychiatric holds and tabloid chaos. Most people think she simply cracked under pressure, but new info reveals a much darker pattern, one that's still unfolding. Just days ago, Amanda publicly admitted she's now using Ozempic to lose weight, not for health, but to look better in paparazzi photos. That one detail says everything about the pressure she's still under, and it ties directly into her years of mental health battles, body image struggles, and the control her family held over her life. In this video, we're going deep into the highs, the meltdowns, the conservatorship, and the shocking new chapter no one saw coming.
Okay, imagine being a huge child star, everyone loves you, and then suddenly your life just takes this wild turn, becoming this public spectacle. You might have a few names in mind, but today we're really taking a deep dive into the incredible and often pretty heartbreaking story of Amanda Bynes.
Yeah, we're going to look at, how that early fame really shaped her life.
Yeah.
The challenges she ran into, and the recent news, the updates that, well, everyone's talking about, including her decision to start using Ozempic.
Right. Now, don't scroll yet. You definitely need to hear this part. Remember all that. The Amanda Show. Amanda Bynes was, a comedic genius back then, winning awards, starring in huge movies like Hairspray. She seemed totally set, a really promising actress.
She was a household name, absolutely. Everyone knew her.
Everyone.
But here's where it gets interesting. Because then, pretty abruptly, in 2010, she's just 24, and she announces she's done with acting.
Just like that.
Yeah. Her quote was pretty direct. If I don't love something anymore, I stop doing it. I don't love acting anymore, so I stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Which, for someone that young, that successful,
Yeah.
it was really unexpected. Made you wonder what was going on.
Yeah, definitely raised eyebrows. And that's just the beginning, really, because even around that time, there were these little whispers, these rumors, like dropping out of the movie Hall Pass. There were reports saying she seemed unprepared on set, paranoid, even fearful.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back now, maybe those weren't just rumors. Maybe they were, early signs, little hints of the trouble brewing underneath.
Possibly.
Things were about to spiral out of control, though. After maybe 2 quiet years, Amanda Bynes was back in the headlines, but not on a movie poster, in the newspapers.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good. In 2012 alone, she was involved in 7 different car incidents.
Should have been, wow.
Yeah, hit and runs, driving under the influence. It was a lot. A really public sign something was seriously wrong.
And unfortunately, it gets worse. In May 2012, things seemed to really escalate. Police were called to her apartment building. Apparently, an officer saw her smoking in the lobby, kind of talking to herself.
Oh, wow.
And when they went to her door, well, it got chaotic. She ended up getting arrested for possession because she apparently threw a bong right out of her window.
From the 36th floor, wasn't it?
That's the report, yeah. And then the image of her in court the next day.
Oh.
Same clothes, that platinum wig she'd been wearing. It was just really jarring.
You won't believe what happens next, though. It just shows the disconnect. Just days after that arrest, she's on Twitter denying everything, says she doesn't drink, didn't do anything illegal. And in the same tweet, she announces she's getting a nose job and planning a career change to singer-rapper.
It was baffling. You just didn't know what to make of it.
And that was really just the start of this increasingly bizarre Twitter behavior. By 2013, her feed was just chaotic. Posts about Hitler and Germans,
Yeah.
and then calling all these celebrities ugly. Zac Efron, Miley Cyrus, even the Obamas.
It was hard to square that with the Amanda Bynes
Yeah.
everyone remembered,
Totally.
But then it took a dark turn. Later that same year, she was placed on a psychiatric hold. This is after she apparently set a small fire in a neighbor's driveway.
Yeah, I remember that. So worrying.
Deeply concerning. And after that incident, her parents, obviously very distressed, felt they had to step in. They filed for a conservatorship, saying it was for her protection and to manage her considerable assets.
It really showed how serious things had become.
Absolutely crystallized it.
But what happened next will shock you. This part is just heartbreaking. October 2014, the conservatorship is already in place, right? And she goes on Twitter, makes these incredibly disturbing accusations against her own father, claiming he called her ugly as a child, asked her to, well, the quote was, with him. Just awful stuff.
Really deeply troubling claims.
Yeah. She wrote she felt forced to live with him, called it a total nightmare, even mentioned getting a lawyer for a restraining order. It felt like this desperate public cry.
And her family, her lawyer, they immediately and firmly denied all of it. Her mom, Lynn, stated pretty clearly, these allegations stem from Amanda's mental state at the moment. They have no basis in
It's a horrible situation for everyone involved, playing out so publicly.
Terrible.
And then came the alarming retraction. The very same day, Amanda herself takes it all back. She tweets, "My dad never did any of those things." But then she says, "The microchip in my brain made me say those things, but he's the one that ordered them to microchip me."
Wow. Just intense confusion, tragic, really.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was just undeniable she was facing severe mental health challenges. Shortly after those tweets, she was placed on psychiatric hold again. And eventually she received diagnoses, bipolar disorder, and manic depression.
Okay.
And I think this whole period, it really highlights something important, right? How much of what we see publicly, this erratic behavior, and often not just bad choices, it can be a really painful manifestation of serious underlying mental health issues. There's usually so much more going on behind the headlines.
That's a really important point. But then, just when it seemed like everything was falling apart, there were these glimmers of hope. It looked like she was starting to turn things around. She moved back with her family, which seemed like a good step.
Towards stability.
And she enrolled in college at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandise, FIDM, in LA.
Right.
And for a while there, she looked genuinely happy, healthy, like she was on a real path to recovery.
And that feeling was really cemented by that 2018 Paper Magazine interview.
Oh yeah, that was a big one.
It really was. She spoke with this, newfound clarity. Admitted she was ashamed and embarrassed by her past behavior, said it made her feel horrible and sick to her stomach. And she claimed 4 years of sobriety at that point.
4 years, wow.
Yeah, it felt like a huge relief. Okay, she's really getting through this. A true turning point, it seemed.
But that's not all, because the path, especially under that kind of spotlight, it's rarely straight, right?
Yeah.
By late 2019, things sort of shifted again. She posted this selfie, and it immediately got fans worried.
The face tattoo.
Yeah, the heart face tattoo. And there was an alien emoji caption, I think.
Right. It kind of signaled, for a lot of people, maybe return to that more difficult period she seemed to have moved past.
Yeah, it sparked concern.
And then, Valentine's Day 2020, another surprise. She announced she was engaged.
To Paul Michael, right? The guy she met in rehab.
Exactly. But the news was immediately followed by reports they'd already split up, super quickly.
Oh, wow.
Only for them to reconcile, a day later. So this rapid back and forth, it hinted at maybe some continued instability even with this new relationship.
Hold that thought, because it connects to something even crazier, or at least more revealing. She later posted a video introducing Paul, saying how lucky she was. And crucially, she used that video to apologize again for those old Twitter insults.
Right, the ugly comments.
Yeah, and she said very candidly that she was so drugged out back then, claimed both she and Paul had been sober for over a year. So again, offering this hopeful note.
But despite that hope, there was still that major legal obstacle, the conservatorship.
Still in place.
Still in place. Her mother was still her conservator, which meant Amanda legally couldn't just get married. She needed approval.
Right.
And sources close to the family were saying, they hadn't even met Paul. And maybe more importantly, they didn't think marriage was the best idea for her right then, given everything.
That adds a whole other layer of complexity.
Definitely.
And then came the pregnancy rumors. Remember that? More public speculation.
Oh, yeah. March 17th, Paul posts a sonogram picture.
And a selfie with Amanda, pretty clearly implying they were expecting.
Right. And Amanda shared it, too, briefly, before they both deleted the posts.
Just a whirlwind.
Total whirlwind. And all while her legal ability to marry was still, up in the air.
So what happened then?
Well, Amanda's lawyers stepped in pretty quickly. They denied the pregnancy rumors. And they asked for privacy, stating she was getting mental health help, she was sober, kind of trying to calm the situation down.
Okay, so just reinforcing that she was still working on things privately.
Exactly, even with all the public noise.
And then what's the latest picture before this recent news?
As of December 2020, I think, after being out of the spotlight for about 6 months, she was seen with Paul again.
Okay.
But importantly, she was reportedly still living in a sober living community. Still under the conservatorship.
Yeah.
Not living with him.
Gotcha.
And her social media went quiet again after that, leaving people wondering where things stood.
Which brings us to now. Fast forward to today, Amanda Bynes is making headlines again, but this time it's about something really modern, a struggle lots of people are facing, openly or not. On Sunday, June 22nd, 2025, she announced on Instagram stories, very openly, that she's starting Ozempic for weight loss.
Yeah. And the reason this is happening, or at least the reason she gave, it's quite telling. She said she's currently around 173 pounds, wants to get down to 130.
Okay.
And her stated reason was, so I look better in paparazzi pictures.
Wow, that's direct. And kind of sad the pressure it revealed.
It really is. It highlights this intense pressure celebrities face, and how these new medical options are intersecting with body image.
And this connects to her past struggles too, right? She's talked about weight before.
She has. She mentioned gaining over 20 pounds before, linking it to depression.
Right, I remember that.
And back in March 2024, she was 162 pounds and said she wanted to get back to 110. She mentioned doing opposite action, forcing herself to work out or eat clean, even when she didn't feel like it.
So this decision now, it feels connected to that ongoing journey with her mental health and how she sees herself.
Absolutely. It adds another layer to understanding her current choice.
And here's why that matters, beyond just her story.
Amanda is just the latest celebrity to talk openly about using Ozempic or similar drugs for weight loss.
It's become a huge conversation.
And a very public one. It shows how common these discussions are now, especially around fame and body image.
And it's important to remember this isn't just a celebrity thing, this is way bigger. A study came out May 2024 finding that 1 in 8 American adults, 1 in 8, has tried one of these GLP-1 drugs, like Ozempic.
Wow, that's significant.
It really is.
Yeah.
It shows how much these medications are becoming part of the broader conversation about weight, health, and image for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try to unpack this. Amanda Bynes' journey. It's just incredible, isn't it? From this beloved child star, navigating these intense public and private struggles, the mental health challenges, and now this very open decision about using medication for weight loss. It's such a powerful story of resilience, but also the immense pressures of celebrity.
Definitely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, her story really makes you think, doesn't it? About how we as a society view celebrities, especially those who grew up right in front of us.
Yeah.
And it also shows how these modern medical advances, like Ozempic, are changing the game when it comes to body image, public perception, creating new choices, but also new pressures.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Maybe consider this. What responsibility do we have as the audience when we watch someone's private struggles play out so publicly?
That's a tough question.
It is. And also, how do these evolving health trends, like these weight loss drugs becoming so common, how does that change how we think about well-being, body image, and even just public identity?
Yeah, definitely a lot to think about there. Her story brings up so much.
It really does. Something to mull over as you go about your day.